Welcome to the Art of Decluttering podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Kirsty Amy from Feels Like Home Professional Organisers.
And I'm Amy Revell from Simply Organised. We can't wait to share with you all our tips and tricks to help you declutter and keep your home and family organised.
If you'd like to engage with the podcast further, you can find us at the Art of Decluttering on Facebook.
Let's get started.
Welcome to episode 13 of the Art of Decluttering. This week we're talking about cars and how to keep your car organised and decluttered. Hey Amy.
Hey Kirst. I feel a Beatles song coming out of me. Is it Beatles that did the beep, 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 yeah?
No.
I don't know why that.
I don't think it was the Beatles.
Surely it was.
Oh, anyway.
Hi listeners. Welcome to episode 13. We're starting off with a little bit of singing.
And a little bit of crazies.
Kirsty, you're excited because you actually bought a new car this week.
We did. We got a Volkswagen Passat, so it was very exciting. Actually, I was super excited about it until Simon stole it from me.
Is that always the plan?
It was not always the plan, but Simon absolutely fell in love with the car and he does heaps more driving than me. So I'm actually very happy to give it to him because then it will mean that he'll come home less stressed about his driving experience because he's given his manual car to me and I have given this brand new automatic car to him. So hopefully he will enjoy the drive a whole lot more.
Oh, and is the type of car you've bought a sedan, SUV? What type is it?
It is a wagon.
Oh, winner. Wagon family car.
Yes. So I actually drove it to IKEA today and thought about you, Amy, because I was in your place of almost worship.
My happy place.
Your happy place. And I fitted in what I needed very easily. So it was all
That
good.
is perfect. I took my SUV to IKEA on Friday night and did some shopping for my beautiful client. And I was actually a bit jealous when I dropped it off at her home on the way home on Friday night that I wasn't getting to assemble it.
Oh, well, I got to assemble it today.
I know, a bit jealous.
Yeah, except it was 28 degrees today. It was really hot in her house and I didn't want to open it all up because I was just in there quickly assembling it and putting it all together. So,
Oh, good on you.
yes, I'm a great professional organizer. The things
Bet
I do
you
for my
are.
clients. I love this client.
So
all good.
you've got the new car. Did you do a trade-in?
We were going to do a trade-in and then we found a buyer for our old car.
Oh, excellent. So what I'd like to know, Kirst, is when you were preparing your car to go to the buyer, how much stuff came out of it that you'd forgotten was even in there?
Nothing.
What do you mean?
We don't keep a lot of stuff in our car.
Nothing,
At
not
all.
even from like the consoles or anything.
No, so we do have stuff in our car, but there was nothing that I'd forgotten that we had.
Wow, that's impressive. No CDs that you'd lost from years ago?
Well, no, she might find the CDs that we've lost, but no, Simon is amazing at cleaning out our car very regularly. He washes the cars probably once every 2 weeks. He'd probably love to do it more than that, or maybe love is a too strong word. He often does it weekly, but when we're really busy, he'll do it fortnightly. And so he not only cleans the outside of the car, but he cleans the inside of the car. And we have trained our kids to mostly take things out of the car when we leave the car. So there's not very many surprises in our car. How about you, Amy?
Look, our cars aren't too bad. Both of us have new cars in the last 2 years. They're not brand new cars, but new cars for us. And so, to be honest, we do keep them pretty well organised. One thing that I do find, though, is the kids in the back, often on the way to basketball on a Saturday, will take a muesli bar. And the other day I was early for a client, and so I just got a bag out and started going through the car. There was like a dozen muesli bar wrappers shoved down the sides of the pockets, you know, the door pockets.
Yes.
They'd shoved them down there and there was a dozen of them.
We have car seats in our car still, particularly for Amelie, and it is one of these cool car seats that has cup holders that swing out on either side of the car seat, and
Fancy.
that is where she shoves her wrappers.
Yeah.
So we will often open up them and go, when was the last time we checked these pockets? Because,
As long as it's muesli bar wrappers and not apple cores.
oh, it has been a couple of funky things in there sometimes.
Do you keep a bin in the car?
No.
Right. So if you're like chomping on an apple on your way to school pickup, do you hold it in your, like, because I hate when you put an apple down in your car and like the stickiness gets on your car bits.
We have cloth seats in our car and we have rubber mats in the footwells. So often we will throw the cores on the rubber mats on the passenger side. When I go to the gym really early, shh, don't tell Simon, but I'll eat an apple in the car and I'll just leave it on the seat. And most of the time I'll take it into the gym with me and put it in the bin in the gym. But sometimes it will sit on the seat. But because it's cloth seat, they don't really get sticky.
Yeah, it's still pretty gross, dude.
Yeah, well, you want to come to the gym with me at 5:45 every morning, Amy?
I'll tell you what we have discovered, and it's a cereal container. So you know how, like, I'm trying to describe it. It's just a steamer one. It's a cereal container with a lid that pops open, and we actually put just a grocery bag in there, and when we go on long distance trips, we use that as a rubbish bin, and it is unreal because the lid never comes off.
Oh, when we go on long trips, then we definitely take a plastic bag with us for our rubbish. But every day running around stuff, we do not.
No, we don't have a bin in the car for every day. So I would love to hear, Kirst, some of the things that you do keep in the car, how you organise the different compartments. Like, I love a car with compartments, so I'd love to hear what you do.
Oh, I love compartments in cars too. I remember, I think the first car that I had bought, no, it was the second car that I bought, was a Toyota Echo, and it had all these funky pockets, and I loved it. It's like, that is my dream car. It's like my dream handbag. I love pockets in handbags, and I love pockets in cars as well. Pockets will get me every time. So let me think about our car. Glove box. We have, in our glove box, we have the car manual and a flashlight.
Old school flashlight.
Yes.
Love it.
And we might have a pocket knife as well, maybe. Ooh. I really don't go to the glove box very much at all. But in this new car, it's a cooler glove box. So today, when I went to my clients, I actually put in my morning tea, which was like hummus and dip and strawberries and blueberries. And so I put it in the cooled glove box, which I thought was pretty cool, but unfortunately we had to empty everything else out of the glove box to be able to fit my Tupperware container in there.
Are you saying that the glove box is cooled?
Yes, it's got a fan in there. It's got a fan, like an air conditioning vent in the glove box. Get out of town.
It's like a tradie glove box.
It is so cool. But as I said, we had to empty it out of the manual, like the car, the instructions and everything else, just to get my lunchbox in there.
That is a brilliant idea.
Yes. Go you good thing, Volkswagen.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I really like that. I really like it. So you said the manual was in there. What else do you keep in the glove box in your car or in the new car?
I think in times gone past we have had one of those spew bags that you get from the airport, like on the aeroplanes, you know, those round circle plastic things.
I've got one of those in my car.
Yeah, we have had that in the car. I don't know. These are all questions you should be asking Simon, because the glove box is certainly somewhere I very, very rarely go. Oh, I do know something else that we have in there. We have had chargers in there. Chargers for the phones and cords have lived in there as well, and sometimes tissues, but most of the time tissues go in the console.
Yeah, because that's when your kids need them when they need them.
Yes.
In my glove box, so let's just confirm for people, the glove box is the one on the passenger side, kind of where their knees go, and the console is the one between the seats, if you're getting confused to which is which. In our glove box, I actually have my first aid kit, which thank goodness I've never actually had to use on the scene of an automotive accident. The first aid kit, I've got gloves, like plastic gloves in there, like probably 50. And
not
because
excessive.
You know what?
Not excessive at all.
I'm so freaked out that one day I'll turn up to the scene of an accident and nobody will have gloves. And I want to be the person that like has gloves for everybody because blood's disgusting.
50 though. Do you think really 50?
Do you want to know what I have used them for?
You are crazy.
We were down at the beach when my youngest was about 18 months old, and he did a number 3 in his car seat, all through his clothes, out of the nappy, through the car seat. And so I got out my handy supply of gloves, chucked them on, dealt with his stuff, threw everything in the bin. And that's actually the only time I've ever used my rubber gloves.
Yeah, so maybe you could get rid of maybe, I don't know, 40 of those pairs.
Well, it's a box. That's why they're in there. Like, I bought a box of rubber gloves.
Okay, all right. I was imagining 50 pairs of those.
Loose pairs.
Yeah, loose pairs. And, I was actually imagining those big yellow or pink washing up gloves when you said
latex. I think they're called latex gloves, like the hospital ones. It's just a little box.
know I've got the right picture, but at first
Excellent.
I was imagining this pink explosion of gloves when you, in the
that
rare
is
case
quite
that
obsessive.
you would actually have an accident and your glove box would fly open along with the airbag.
Well, do you know what the other thing I've got in there is one of the old muslin wraps from when my kids were little. And we've used them actually several times, but for completely different reasons. Once when we get the complaining, the sun's shining through my window and I'm roasting hot, and you can kind of tuck it in, or when they've been cold, or when they've needed to wrap something up as a pillow, and once even used as a sling for an arm on the way to hospital.
Excellent.
I felt like a bit of a MacGyver when I was able to use my muslin wrap as a sling. I went, do you know what? This is like the peak of glove box usage.
Yeah, see, our glove boxes have never been big enough to store that much stuff in them.
Ours is huge, but I never open it aside from the times when I need to access the first aid kit or a muslin wrap or gloves.
See, we have our first aid kit in the boot, but we'll get to that. And we also have emergency ration type things in the boot, but we'll get to that when we get to it.
Let's get to that right now. What do you mean emergency rations? Like as in Armageddon emergency rations?
Yes, we have so much. We have food too. We have 50 gloves in our boot.
You dag. Do you have like cans of tuna and bottled water or something?
No, we have an emergency first aid kit in the boot, and we have a sheet in the boot, actually. We have a box, a small-ish, medium-sized box that lives in the boot that has a change of clothes for both the kids.
Good idea.
It has a Frisbee, or it has had at times a Frisbee, and it definitely has a sheet in it so that we can be old school wog and cover the front of our car in a sheet so the
with
sun
a sheet. You do know that they have like shades nowadays, don't you?
I know, but Simon loves using this sheet.
That's brilliant.
It is so funny.
But you could use it like as a picnic blanket if you ever needed it as well.
Yes, and we use it. For instance, I used it today when I went to IKEA. We put a sheet down in the back of the car so that I wouldn't scratch our brand new car and I wouldn't scratch the bumper part of the car. So
Clever.
The sheet fell over the boot of the car and protected the car from me knocking it with very, very heavy IKEA box and ruining my clients' products in the meantime. So that didn't happen, but that's what we use a sheet for, to cover bikes if they're dirty, to put under bikes, to put under scooters, to put, protect the boot.
That's a
of
good
the
idea.
car.
If you've been at the beach and the kids are still a bit wet, you can chuck it underneath or do whatever you need with it.
And then that's also been used as the same as your muslin for sunshade protection. It could be used as a pillow. It could be used for all those things that the muslin is used for, except ours lives in the boot.
Is there anything else in this emergency box for Armageddon that you're preparing for?
No, we do not have those gloves, and we don't actually have anything else in that box. In fact, it probably needs a bit of updating because I'm sure that the undies and the shorts that we have for my son will be way too small because they've been in there for quite some time.
Time to update.
Yes, they might not even fit my daughter. So that is all that is in that box. And in the boot, if we're moving on to the boot, let's move on to the boot. In the boot,
I think we're there.
we also have our green bags or blue bags,
Oh, cool.
depending, and multicolour bags for the shops.
And that's so that you don't forget to take them, is it?
Yes, they live in our car so that we have no excuse to not use reusable bags when we go shopping.
That's great. Most of my clients keep them in the boot of their car. I don't personally, but that's because I do online shopping 99% of the time.
Oh, interesting. The things we learn about each other and the things you learn about us. Friends, as you listen to our podcast, that Amy is uber lazy.
Time efficient, people. Time efficient.
No, I love it. I love online shopping for groceries. It saves you from buying all those unnecessary specials.
Yes.
It's awesome.
It is so good for controlling what kind of extras we get each week.
More about decluttering your car in just a couple of minutes. Don't forget to visit our website www.theartofdecluttering.com.au for exclusive access to our secret bonus episode. This is episode 13 of The Art of Decluttering, and we are talking all about cars. We've also done episodes on kitchens, pantries, freezers, wardrobes, jewellery, and workstations, to name a few. So if you're new to The Art of Decluttering, you'll find loads of great tips just like this one.
So I want to tell you a little bit of a trick that I've discovered and have since implemented in probably dozens of people's homes, and that's what we call the lost and found box.
Please share.
So for us, it's a box near our front door. And I don't know if your friends are anything like ours, but when you turn up to people's houses, there's jumpers and someone's bringing their favourite footy card, and at the moment it's a fidget spinner has to go with them everywhere, hats, shoes, socks, toys, and almost inevitably, when my friends leave, we find something that they've left behind. And so rather than just putting it on the bench or somewhere that we have to remember to give it back to them, we have a box designated for other people's stuff at our front door. It's our lost and found box.
And now back to cars.
So that's all that's in our boot, and that is, we only have this medium-sized box. I'll take a photo of it, everybody can see it, and our green bags. And in this new car, in the Backseat, we've got these extra little side pockets in the boot, which today when I went to my client's house, stored the hammer and the screwdrivers that I needed to build this beautiful IKEA unit for her. But otherwise, the only other thing that's in our boot is our spare tyre. How about
Excellent.
you? I know, you've got to talk about your two different cars, because I know that one of your cars has all of your IKEA products.
So up until I became a professional organiser, our boots were always completely empty. Nothing in there, no spare anything, no bags, no umbrellas, nothing. So my husband's car is still like that, completely empty. And my car doesn't have anything personal in it. However, it is completely chockers, because my boot's actually full of IKEA stock. So I'm the kind of professional organiser that comes to your home with a boot full of stock, so that if you need containers, you don't have to run off to IKEA or Kmart. You don't kind of end up with a shopping list at the end of our time together. I actually on-sell IKEA stock at cost to help my clients get organised quicker. But what that does mean is that my boot is 100% all of the time full of stock. Never room for a school bag, never room for groceries. And so the kids put their school bags in the back seat. And if we have to go to the shops to buy anything significant, we always take my husband's car.
Fair enough. No wonder you do online shopping. You can't fit it in your boot.
Perfect solution.
I was just thinking about our other car and what's in that car's boot. And again, it is only grocery bags. That's the only thing that Simon keeps. Well, now is in my car, because that is now my car. So the blue dragon and the white dragon, as my daughter has renamed both of our cars.
Very cute. Do you have CDs in your cars anymore?
No, we did in the Subaru. We had some kids' CDs, but now, even for the last little while, we haven't really been playing CDs because we've been using Pandora and now Spotify.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I was going to say sad Pandora.
No, we're super sad because we much preferred the Pandora radio stations over
Me
Spotify.
too.
But yes, now we're in our new car and we're using Apple CarPlay. So
Cool.
But The kids aren't in the car very much, this car very much, so we haven't really figured out anything funky for them to listen to.
So your console, Kirst, no CDs. I've actually still got a few CDs in mine. I'm a bit old school. The kids have some they like. What do you keep in your console?
In the new car, there is nothing in the console apart from the cord to charge my phone.
Oh, winner, winner.
Yeah, and it does need some tissues, although at the moment the tissues are living in the back seat with the kids. But in our old car, we did have lots of CDs in there. We just hadn't used them very much for a while. And we had tissues and keys to our roof racks. So.
Oh, yeah. So just really practical stuff. I've discovered recently, so do you have a coin tray in your car? Because I always find, like, I have relatively small hands and I hate getting the coins out of those coin trays. I can get 15 cents at a time. And when I'm like waiting at drive-through, I really want to be able to get the gold coins and not just all the little silvers. Or when we've pulled up to pay parking and I'm in a bit of a rush, but I'm like scurrying around trying to find the 20-cent pieces. So I've stopped using my coin tray and I've discovered a brand new awesome way to keep coins in the car. But I want to hear what you do first and then I'll tell you about my amazing idea.
See, our new car is so new. I haven't even figured out everything that Simon has decided where everything goes because it's now his car. But in our old car, we had, was it a coin part next to the cigarette lighter? There was this little tray that you could pull out.
Yes, that you can fit one finger in and you've got to swoosh the coins out.
Yes. So we did have that problem. So we just don't use coinage that much. Do you know what? We'd actually, more often than not, we would raid that coin tray for their school banking.
Ah, yes. We've got our own little coin box inside for those kind of moments.
So, yeah, we did use that for coins. I don't think we have a new place for it in our new car, and I know that the Mazda doesn't really have any place for coinage. So, but it helps that we don't need coinage very much. We usually just use our credit cards and our bank cards for most things these days.
Yep. And now even parking, you can do that.
Yes.
What I've changed to is using a little container that sits in the console for our coins. So the boys play basketball on a Saturday and we do need coins for that. We need $8 a week. And if we're not remembering to grab it before we walk out the door, having the coins in a container makes it so quick and easy because I can grab the whole container and take it with me somewhere. And so if I'm going to pay parking at the zoo, for instance, I just grab the container, walk to the parking meter, pay for it, and then put the container back in the car. It just saves that awkward, trying to handle all these coins and them slipping around and not knowing where they are. I'm totally in love with this new solution, and I think it cost me about 75 cents to put in place.
Does it slide around at all?
No, because inside my console is a tray and it sits on the tray in the console.
Oh, so it's in your console in the middle. See, I'm getting confused even with us talking because we use console for everything in our car, like those front little pockets down near your gear
like your drink holders. No, that's different.
Yeah, not the drink holders so much because they are called drink holders. But
mine's the same because there's an insert in my Mazda 3 that you put into you're talking about the flip side lid down near the gear stick. Mine can turn into a drink holder. You put the inserts in and it becomes 2 round circles, or you take the insert out and it's one oblong shape. And that's where I keep, say, my wallet and my phone when I'm driving.
Do you have a little hidey hole thing, like something that lifts up in between your arms?
Yeah, so I would call that the console.
Okay. See, I call that the console and I call near the gear stick the console too. That whole thing, the middle of the car, everything in the middle of the car is a console to me.
If there's any automotive people out there and there is a separate name for any of these things, we would love to hear about it. Teach us something new because otherwise I'm adopting what Kirsty does and we're just going to call it all the console.
Okay. So in this new car, we do have 2 spots for water bottles in between in the console. We have spots for water bottles in all doors, and there is 2 water bottle holders in the armrest in between the 2 children too. So
we've got the same.
we never have an excuse to be dehydrated in our car.
I love it. And particularly if you've got your emergency stash of tuna and water in the boot, you can always go to that if you need to.
Along with your gloves. Maybe you can turn your gloves into drinking apparatus in emergency.
That would be a true emergency, wouldn't it?
MacGyver style.
Well, I think that's probably all the tips I have around my car. Have you got any other tips that you use or would suggest to people?
I would love for us to talk about what you did when your kids were little and how you used the back seat when they were little. Did you have games and books and any like toys or anything in there?
Not
and
one
how did you?
ever.
Wow.
We were not a toys in the car family. We were, have a look, there's pretty birds and trees flying past you kind of a family, just because I hated having to pick up after them. So even on long trips, our kids still don't take anything with them now by choice because they actually enjoy talking, and ours make up games and play make-believe games and, you know, play Spotto and just chat and natter away. So never had any toys, even as babies.
Oh, we would have died without things in the car to entertain them. Both of my children have always hated being in the car. They hated being turned backwards.
And are they still not keen on travelling long distances?
No, they still hate being in the car. So it's awesome living in Sydney and having all of our family in Melbourne. You know, guess where we go every Christmas? Guess how long and painful the drive is to Melbourne?
Wow. We drove from our home in Melbourne 3,000 kilometres north to far north Queensland to visit my sister. And still they didn't have anything to entertain them. They'd just chat and look out the window and sing songs to themselves. Like, they were ridiculously good, and they were 3 and 5.
I can only dream of children that good. Even at 8 and 6, they still would most of the time whinge just going 20 minutes up the road to another shopping centre that's not our actual local. They literally hate being in the car still.
Do you let them take things in the back seat, going back to, you know, what the back seat looks like?
So they don't need anything in the back seat now because they do look around and they do chat and sing, and we put the music on and or stories on so they are entertained. And on long drives they have their iPads.
Great.
And one time my son actually coloured in the whole way to Melbourne, and it was the most magical ride from his perspective, and we had to stop 55,000 million times for my daughter to go to the toilet on that truck car trip. So I'm pretty scarred, actually. I'm still pretty scarred from our trips to Melbourne. So they don't have anything in the back seat now, but when they were little, we had a little basket that sat in between their 2 car seats.
Aww.
And they had a couple of books in there each and a couple of toys, and they, you know, Oliver could reach in and grab things for Amelie to distract her and play with her. And I do remember our daughter had loved her dummy, so we had a dummy that lived on her car seat.
Oh, good idea.
So that she could always reach it and shove it in her mouth. So
clever idea.
But we've never had anything really on the back seat of a cars. We did like on the back seat of the driver's car seat.
Oh, no, we've never done those kind of things either.
I had a girlfriend make me one once, and that was good, but it was for a short period of time. It didn't last very long because things in cars don't entertain my kids for very long. But yeah, I would totally suggest. I loved the basket actually because it made a place where the toys went back into.
Yeah, that's key.
And it stopped things rolling all around the car. So
yeah,
I loved having a little basket in the back seat, and I would totally recommend it for others who have got young kids and wanted a place to stash all their stuff. And the other thing we taught our kids from very early on is that, you know, as soon as we unclip them, that they get down and pick up anything that's on the ground.
Love it.
And anything that's out of place, they need to put back in the basket. And equally so now, you know, when we try to remind them, that when they're getting out of the car, that they take their water bottles with them, they take everything that belongs to them. It's their responsibility. So we'll often be sitting up at the dinner table and somebody will go, oh, I'm thirsty. And we're like, where's your water bottle? And they're like, oh, I left it in the car. All right, get out and go get it from the car.
And I think that's a really awesome habit that we want adults to learn as well. The amount of adults' homes that I've gone into and there's kind of a box or a bag of stuff and you think, oh, that's just out of the car. But it's completely random receipts and electronic pieces and scraps of food, everything kind of chucked in together but never gone through. So I would recommend adults that every time you get home, you completely take everything out of the car, deal with it when you get inside so that you don't kind of end up with that big build-up.
Then you don't lose receipts, you don't lose water bottles, you don't lose an apple that's flown underneath the passenger seat and gets lost there for a millennial.
Exactly. So that's a great note to leave you on, where you can, have that action point every time you park somewhere at home. Grab everything out, bring it inside, and continue to keep your car really functioning well and serving you and your family so that you have what you need when you need it. Tuna in the back, gloves in the front, and you can, continue to have your car serving you best.
Yeah, I love having a minimal car as well, having as little in the car to make it as functional as possible. It just helps with that decluttering process at the end of every day. If you don't have very much in the car, then there's not much to take out of the car to make it clean again. Okay, Amy, I cannot wait to spend time with you again next week when we clock up our number 14th episode. But we just wanted to remind listeners that our course is coming up very soon. Do you want to give them the website?
If you go to www.theartofdecluttering.com.au, you will see a few different things there. Firstly, you'll see our secret episode just waiting for you to download, and you'll also be able to find some details of our upcoming course, the Art of Decluttering Mindset course. We would love you to join. Thanks so much for joining us, friends. We love talking to you each week. We love you interacting with us, and we can't wait to bring next week's topic to you. I'm not going to tell you what it is just yet. You're going to have to hold out and download our podcast next week as well. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us. If you've learned something awesome today, do a girlfriend a favour and share this episode so she too can learn the art of decluttering.
You can find me, Amy, over at simplyorganised.net or on Facebook as simplyorganisedpo.
You can find me, Kirsty, over at feelslikehome.net.au or on Facebook as feelslikehomepO. Don't forget, you can see the show notes in your podcast app, so if there's anything you want more information on, then check it out there. If you love what you hear, we would really appreciate you leaving a review on iTunes, and you can always subscribe to us.
We hope you've enjoyed listening and that you've learned some great tips and tricks to help you declutter and keep your home organised. We hope you have a great rest of your day and enjoy the freedom.